This has to be one of the most successful getaways, at least for this week. Get him! Get him! Get him! Get him! Zoink! And the man is off. That's all those agents. Couldn't stop this man, as some people are asking questions like, what are they doing there? As Donald Trump now is defending using U.S. troops in U.S. cities, as I have a little bit more of a nuanced take on this. I know everything's so polarized. Everything is so just black and white. I don't think we should just be having those type of conversations. The conversation does deserve to be done in a perspective where we actually get some information that we could independently think of opinions about. A lot of people just are like, oh, it's good, it's bad. Who did it? What? What political party is what? I don't like to play that. As right now, some people are saying that this is going to be used in order to quail domestic uprisings that are going to be happening in democratic cities. Insurrectionists, as a lot of people have different conspiracy theories about what is going on here. As today, Donald Trump and Peak Headset, the Secretary of War, made some interesting announcements. All of this as there are some foreign policy developments that are also pretty interesting that we're going to be talking about just quickly while talking about this kind of larger perspective of an insurrection, of a civil war, of an all-out political conflict in the West that a lot of people are seeing is going to be, quote, unavoidable. Is that actually what's going on? Is that actually what people are preparing for? Well, that's what the conversation now is happening in the United States. So we'll get into it and a lot more, all here on this independent media broadcast. And if you appreciate these types of videos, subscribe, click the notification button. We greatly appreciate all the time that you spend with us. Now, let's just get right into it. Since, listen, there's a lot of crazy things happening militarily, especially over in the Middle East, especially in Europe. Yesterday, we talked about how the aerial refueling tankers have just left the United States. They entered Europe, as people were like, well, maybe it's for Russia, maybe it's for Iran. And now they're making their way to the Middle East, just like they did a few months ago when Donald Trump decided to help initiate and protect and essentially carry out the bombing campaign and the military campaign against Iran. For what reason? For American interest? Yeah. Oh, I don't know about that one. As now, high-ranking Iranian government delegation members are making an unannounced visit to Moscow. Some people are saying they're going to Belarus. Who knows? But it seems like there is going to be a big war brewing in the Middle East. As The Guardian today is reporting that Trump has been defending troops in U.S. cities after the Secretary of War, addressing the U.S. military earlier this morning with Donald Trump, talked about how the DEI efforts need to stop and we need to make the military great again. Donald Trump said he's going to talk about how great the military is, but here, in this part of his speech, he kind of hinted at some bigger problems ahead of us domestically, that there might be a use for the military. Now, Donald Trump already is using the military. I believe he used it. And again, I have more of a kind of libertarian take on this. But let's just be honest. A lot of the people are saying, who do you want on the street corner? Do you want the gangbanger or do you want the National Guardsman? Who do you want? And a lot of people, the average person's like, yeah, I'll choose the National Guardsman. Okay, I get that. In the perfect world, you allow people to have neighborhood watch, to defend themselves, to build communities, to allow them to conceal carry. Crime would go down dramatically and you wouldn't have to use that. That's my optimal world. But we don't live in my optimal, perfect, sugar-coated, libertarian, free, sovereign, personally responsible world where things actually work like they're supposed to work based on humanity and human nature. We live in this make-pretend world of, yeah, the government is here to help. And I'm like, I don't like that world. It's a make-pretend world that usually is filled with a lot of delusion and lies, and then usually it comes back and kicks you in the butt. That's why I'm just a little bit worried. But we cannot kid ourselves and say that Trump sending in the troops to Washington, D.C. hasn't been a success. Lots of black families are coming out lots of people living there coming out saying, yeah, it's actually great. I don't get robbed or beaten all the time. That's so awesome. Who would have thought? Well, you just put a policeman on the corner. And again, I haven't seen any major violations of civil liberties. Now, he's also sending a couple hundred National Guardsmen now to Portland, predominantly to protect the ICE facility there, where leftists have been using more and more kind of violent tactics. There are numerous threats against ICE facilities, not just protests. Yes, there are some people peacefully protesting, but there's also a faction that the left kind of, they kind of don't disavow. They're kind of like, yeah, look at those guys. They're just standing next to us saying the same thing, and then they're committing massive amounts of violence, and then they're hurting people and trying to take their lives. It's like, oh, yeah, look at that guy. Oh, yeah. They're not even trying to take it a step away from them. Okay, that's the weird part. So, obviously, when we have deranged people taking sniper shots and sending in bomb threats and showing up with explosive devices at these protests, obviously Trump is going to send in the National Guard in order to protect them, in order to push them away when they try to block the roads. And again, there are some people that are just peacefully protesting, not blocking the roads, that are just fine. And again, nuanced conversation, we need that more than ever, right? Now here comes Donald Trump with a statement. Now, before playing that statement, and a lot more, we wanted to tell you about thebestpoliticalshirts.com. Yesterday, I had a shirt that read, "Trust God, not government." Today, I'm wearing a shirt saying, "Be like Poland." As a Polish, Slavic, young man, old man, I love my country, I love my homeland, I love my heritage, I love my peoples. Slavic lives matter. That's another shirt we have on our shirt. You want to find this? You just type in Poland into the search bar, and then bada bing, bada boom. We got another one that talks about the kind of Polish history. We don't like the far left. We don't like the far right. We have a lot of bad history with all of them. We don't like them. They're not nice. We also have this Slavic. You just type in Slavic, bada bing, bada boom. Slavic lives matter. They do. Everyone's like, but the left is like, look, Gaza. And I'm like, how many people are dying in Ukraine? Way more. You would think we would have a scale of like, yeah, we should actually care and consider about the life loss and prevent this war from expanding. But no, they cheer on that war. Again, so much hypocrisy, so many people just vying for political power. I'm just sick of it. I got a lot of other shirts that make people laugh. Again, even if you're not Polish, you could look at Poland and be like, yeah, they're doing a couple of things right. Hopefully they won't get into war. That's not good. That's not a situation. That's one of the things I was calculating, because I was like, I'm going to just move back to Poland. Screw this. This is insane here, especially with all the politicized insane violence and insane people that are trying to justify the taking a life of people because of their political thoughts and expressions, especially who are predominant on the left, especially who have been gaslit and built up and emotionally manipulated by the corporate media for far too long about how this is awesome and this is great. And now they're all Germans. And I'm like, what are you talking about? My people dealt with the Germans in not that successful way. But anyway, be like Poland. I like wearing this shirt. I like meeting fellow Slavic people, fellow Polish people. And listen, Slavic people understand Slavic people. They're like, high five. Yeah, you're Slavic. Yes, we've survived tremendous amount of suffering throughout our human existence. We still survived. I like that. Now, let's get back to these Trump comments. As a lot of people are saying, the president of the United States is spoon-feeding a potential situation where the military could be used domestically in order to quell uprisings. That's what a lot of people said, especially with what Donald Trump announced right before this meeting, before going to Quantico, coming out and saying, if I don't like any of these generals or these military people, I'm firing them on the spot. Clearly, he wants people who are loyal to him, who are going to be listening to his orders, and not woke, leftist, liberal people that could put him in a situation where he orders the military to do something and then they don't do it. So today's a big kind of check, like who's who? What are you doing? Let's make sure, as they are probably gearing up for a major confrontation, and this is the way I see it. First Iran, then Venezuela, then Russia, right? And then China, game over. China's going to be like, oh yeah, we're going to go to Taiwan. They're going to do their own thing. And that's just the way I see it. I don't think the president of the United States even makes these decisions at this point. I'll just be straight up. Now, still, there's a lot of flip-flopping here from Donald Trump, which I'm not happy about, which needs to be called out, which a lot of people are too afraid to call out. I'm not, but I'm ridiculous too. Anyway, here's what Donald Trump said.
George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, Grover Cleveland, George Bush, and others all used the armed forces to keep domestic order and peace. Many of our leaders used the military to keep peace. Now they like to say, oh, you're not allowed to use the military. And you know what the people say? The people in those cities where they're being raped and shot and beat up. You know what they say? We love the military. You ever see where they interview the people on the street? I've never seen somebody say they don't, unless they're...
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. He exaggerates sometimes, but he's not wrong, right? A lot of people are like... There's even, like, rappers and people with, like, bling-bling chains on them. Like, shit, look at that, I can wear my chain now. And I'm like... Okay. Now, the left-wing tyranny was a little bit more impressive, but they did it in kind of unorthodox way. They were like, yeah, we're just going to get all the district attorneys and we're going to get George Soros to finance all this, and we're just going to make sure that the criminals could terrorize you, but you defend yourself, jail. We're going to make an example out of you, Daniel Penny. We're going to make an example out of you. People who dare to stand up for themselves and defend themselves. Criminals run loose. Immigrants run loose. Do whatever you want. Boop, boop. Get out, in and out. Come on, Pedro. Let's go. Oh, no, my camera fell. Anyway, here's the rest of the clip as I fix the other camera.
They're radical and paid off because a lot of these insurrectionists are paid by, whether it's Soros or other people, but they're paid by the radical left. So today I want to thank every service member from general to private who has bravely helped us secure the nation's capital and make America safe for the American people. It's amazing. The whole world is watching.
D.C. was the example. Now he's saying, yeah, now Chicago. Then Louisiana, New Orleans, Portland. Let's go into a lot of these leftist cities. As now Trump is saying that the military should be using U.S. cities as, quote, training grounds. Now, this is where I disagree. I'm like, training grounds for what? What are we training for? A military occupation? Right? I don't like this. I don't like this at all. President Donald Trump told the nation's top military officials Tuesday that troops should use dangerous American cities as training grounds. Trump used crime as a pretext to deploy troops to Democratic-led cities, with the National Guard patrolling the streets of D.C. and Portland, bracing to become next targets. Trump, in a scattered speech during Tuesday's address to military leaders at Quantico, said forces should be going into Chicago, which he described as a big city with an incompetent governor. That's true. Trump has repeatedly floated applying his D.C. blueprint to the Windy City, which Illinois' Governor Pritzker has admittedly resisted. Armed federal agents are already on the ground in the city as part of an operation aimed at detaining undocumented immigrants. He also claimed Portland looked like a war zone, despite political and community leaders decrying the proposed military action. Yeah, that's because the political leaders and even the police officers are in on it in Portland. Locals have shared images of the city that offer a stark contrast to the president's description. What he's saying, Trump told military leaders, quote, "We have to handle the so-called enemy from within." That was the enemy from within. That's the big question here. He referenced to executive orders directing the defense secretary to establish a National Guard's quick reaction force for nationwide deployment to help quell civil disturbances. Trump defended his domestic use of troops, arguing that he's not the first president to use the military to keep peace. Yeah. Listen. Well, I hope we never get there. And we should be doing everything in our power in order to avoid it. But the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, even though it has been violated before under extreme egregious circumstances, I think always needs to be protected. Again, you want to get rid of a lot of the crime. If we're really doing the crime thing, allow people to carry, allow people to defend themselves. Pass federal conceal carry permits. It shouldn't even be permitted. I don't even like that word. I don't think that's even constitutional. Just give us the ability to do that without facing jail time in states like Massachusetts and in New York and in New Jersey, where even if you're just going from state to state, even transporting it in a lockbox gets you in jail. That's stupid. That is ridiculous. New York Times. A novice defense secretary, a war secretary, lectures the brass on what it takes to win. Senior officials summoned from around the world are entrusted to manage complex military operations. They got a lecture on fitness and a grooming standard. Yeah, I want you guys to be fit. I don't want you to be woke. I don't want you to be furries. Like, whatever, you're furry, whatever, I don't care. But when we look at the military, yeah, we want the military to be good here. Now, Donald Trump has given the military industrial complex everything that they wanted. Now, if we're going to do that, if we're going to fix up and clean up the military, we got to clean up the waste. You got to clean up the bureaucracy. You got to clear out all the wasteful spending on insane things that the military industrial complex has been price gouging on us on. You need Doge, you need Elon Musk, you need all of it. But Elon Musk was stopped. No, you can't. No. FBI was like, no, get out of here. Get out of here. And I'm like, whoa. So us spending more money until we actually know where all that money is going and it's missing, I'm just not a big fan of. Now, again, there's also going to be a very interesting clash in New York City where a leftist liberal candidate, Mandami, is most likely going to be the next mayor. This as right now, Como somehow made it back into the race under a different party manner. There's people on the right supporting him, and I'm like, that dude is awful, horrible. And I'm like, I just can't believe people are willing to do this. In New York, a Soros-funded DA just let an attacker walk free after attacking a pro-life activist on camera. Like, the proof is there. There's people who are clearly extremely radicalized in extremely dangerous ways. There's even people putting up, like, Halloween decorations, highlighting Mexicans, taking out people with MAGA hats. There's other people who are just saying, yeah, we took out Charlie, next one's Donald Trump. And I'm like, what? Like, these people are nuts.
You say that?
Because he's racist and he's a pedophile.
But you know, you
look it up.
You got 3 more years of Trump, though.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
We already killed his friend.
Whoa.
The next one is talking to him.
Oh. Wait, what's your name?
Next to him, he's doing that weird ass shit.
What are you gonna do, buddy? Come.
Yeah, talk about a crazy person, right? But that's the sentiment of a lot of people on the left. There's also one disgraceful person who was caught spitting and just reenacting the assassination of Charlie and just being the most disrespectful idiot out there. They set up a GoFundMe for him, and he raised $31,000 for his disgusting, despicable actions that get people promoted and paid. That's the type of situation on the left that has been committing an overwhelming amount of violence and are now being emboldened even more to be disgraceful, to be disgusting, and to try to create more suffering. There's other people that are just posting threats on social media openly because they think they could get away with it. This young man charged domestic terror threats, posting on Facebook, saying he's going to use a truck to go after the vigil. I mean, sick, disgusting people. Now, this is why the sick, disgusting actions of the left are spurring on a situation where Trump's like, listen, these people are crazy. They just want to hurt people. They're celebrating, cheering, bathing in the blood of my friends, saying, yeah, more, get his wife, good. And then there's people on the left that are even too afraid to disavow it. And in that realm, when you look at, okay, now we got to send the military because these people are going to take shots. He's going to try to hurt people. They're going to try to assassinate people. Then it makes sense. Now, I am worried about false flag operations that could spur this on even wider, even crazier, make it even more insane, and delve us into this type of insane world where there's no going back from. I thought there was a very interesting conversation happening on CNN, as there's people literally blaming the right still on everything.
The broader point here is Donald Trump endlessly deflects and tries to blame it on the other side when he is the one responsible for amping up the tension in America. And I've spent all of my formative years throughout high school, throughout college, looking to the president, who I'm supposed to be able to look up to, and seeing somebody who's trying to place blame on the left, who's amping up the rhetoric constantly. And yeah, it's not good.
So you think it's Donald Trump's fault that a deranged leftist climbed up to the top of a building and shot up the ICE facility, not once now, but twice in Texas?
I think it's Donald Trump's fault that America has gotten to this heated place. I think that
No responsibility for the radicalization on the left that's causing this violent
That
outburst.
29-year-old is radicalized by online communities and online algorithms. I'm not going to blame that
Did you read his
directly on
note?
Trump, but he was caught in a lot of online video game algorithms and all these communities.
Yeah, it's the video games. That's what the right-wingers were saying a couple of years ago. I find that absolutely ridiculous. Again, lots of ridiculous things happening. What do you think about this situation? Is Donald Trump, and should Donald Trump use the military in order to quell this leftist violence? Press 1, yes. Press 2, no. Down in the comment section below. I'm curious to see what you guys are saying. Get active, get engaged, do your lazy form of activism on thebestpoliticalshirts.com. Meet some cool Slavic people. I love you guys. Stay tuned for more. All here exclusively on youtube.com/wearechange.